I am going to hang on for just a couple of minutes today, given that last week we had a number of people join within the first 45 to 75 seconds of starting, so I'll start in just a bit. All right, before we get started today, just a couple of housekeeping notes. First of all, I am outside today, so we may have a little bit of background noise. The logistics coming out of the holidays got a little bit complicated, so I am set up out in the back patio of our rental property. And second, next week I will be on an international trip, and we will have this session. I just don't know where I'll be doing it from. So it'll be somewhere in Europe, but we'll figure it out. But expect to have a session next week, and I will be live from across the pond. So with that, I'll go back off camera and we'll get started. So today's session falls out of one we did last week. The end of last week, our theme was freedom, but a different kind of freedom, not the fireworks kind. So when you hear references today of that, that was last week. And this one, although it stands alone, it was written as a follow-on to that one. So this is the exhale after, a meditation on rest. So go ahead and find your seat. You can let your eyes close or just let your gaze settle soft and low wherever it wants to land. Late last week in our session we were talking about freedom, the quiet kind, the kind that has nothing to do with fireworks. And we sat with a question: what are you holding that you could simply put down? And today we'll pick back up on where that one left off. Because asking where we can and what we can put down is really only half the work. The other half is having actually set something down. What do we do with our hands? Most of us don't seem to know. We set the thing down and immediately reach for something else to carry. We treat rest like a reward we haven't quite earned yet, something for later. After the list is finished, after the house is in order, after we deserve it. But rest isn't a reward, and it isn't laziness either. Whatever the old voices in our heads might say, there's something else entirely, a deliberate, restorative pause. The kind that lets everything we've loosened actually settle into place before the next season of growing begins. Even the garden rests between plantings. Nobody scolds the field for lying fallow in the winter. We understand without having to think about it that the ground needs the pause as much as it needs the seed. So today, practice something that sounds almost too simple to be a practice at all. Doing nothing. Not earning our stillness, just receiving it. And we'll come back to that. First, let's get the body settled. Feel where your body meets the chair, the seat beneath you, the floor under your feet. Letting the hands settle any way that feels at ease for you. Find that quiet middle place in your spine, not propped up, not collapsed, relaxed but present. And then let's find the breath. Not to change it, just to notice it. Think of the ocean for a moment. Nothing tells the tide when to come in or go out. It doesn't consult a schedule. It just moves, all on its own rhythm, patient and unbothered, in and then out again. Your breath is doing the same thing right now. You don't have to pull it in or push it out. Just notice it arriving and notice it leaving. The way you'd watch a wave roll up on the sand and slide back out again. Notice the inhale. Where does it land? Where do you feel that inhale? Maybe high in the chest or low in the belly. And notice the exhale. And maybe even that small, unhurried pause at the bottom of the breath before the next wave decides to come in. Just that. Nothing to fix, nothing to improve. Breathing in, I arrive in this chair. Breathing out, I have nowhere else to be. Breathing in, rest is not something I have to earn. Breathing out, I receive it as it is. Breathing in, I let this little time of pause be enough. Breathing out, I stop reaching past it. Now it's likely your mind will wander. It may have already wandered. And that's not a failure of rest. It's what minds do, even resting ones. Maybe especially resting ones. Because a quiet mind finally has room to notice everything it's been avoiding. You might think of it like a phone buzzing on the counter in another room. You hear it, some part of you tenses, gets ready to jump up and go check who it is, what they want, whether it's important. But here's the practice. You don't have to get up. You can just notice, there's the phone, and let it buzz itself out. Whatever it is will likely still be there in an hour. You're allowed to not answer it. Just for your time today, you're allowed to let it ring. You may have heard of a woman named Tricia Hersey. She started a ministry called the Nap Ministry. You may have heard of that. After years of watching people, especially people who'd been taught their whole lives to keep going no matter what, to run themselves into the ground in service of being useful, she wrote a book about it, and one line from it intrigues me. Rest is radical because it disputes the lie that we are not doing enough. Sit with that for a moment. The lie that we are not doing enough. Most of us are carrying that lie somewhere, even into retirement after decades of doing plenty. There's a voice that says, the dishes aren't done, the yard needs attention. You should be productive, useful, moving. Stillness starts to feel like an accusation instead of a gift. Now, it's not that busyness is bad or that a full life isn't a good life. Many are still raising children or grandchildren, running committees, keeping gardens, showing up for people who need you, and that matters. Rest is not the opposite of a meaningful life. It's part of what makes one possible. Think about the seasons for a moment. Nothing in nature grows all the time. The tree drops its leaves and stands bare through winter. Not because it's given up, but because that's how it stores up what it needs for spring. The field left fallow one year comes back richer than the next. The rest isn't the interruption of the growing, it's a phase of it. Maybe the most important phase, the one that makes the rest of it possible. So here's a question to sit with today. What becomes possible for you once you stop treating stillness as something you have to justify? Let's take a moment to go there. Picture a field in late autumn, after the harvest is in. Stalks have been cut, the ground is bare, brown, and quiet. To anyone driving past, it might look like nothing is happening there at all. But underneath, everything is happening. Well, the soil is resting, yes, but it's also rebuilding. Minerals settling back into place. Roots from last year's planting slowly breaking down, feeding what's still to come. Worms and small creatures doing their patient work in the dark, unseen, unhurried. Nothing about that field is wasted time. The bareness is not absence, it's preparation. Happening quietly without anyone watching or applauding it. Now imagine yourself as that field for a moment. Whatever season you've just come through, however much you've given, grown, produced, imagine some part of you lying fallow right now, right here in your chair. Not empty, just resting. Quietly rebuilding what it needs for whatever comes next. You don't have to know yet what will grow there. You just have to let the ground rest. Now let's shift that image slightly. If you've ever read a piece of sheet music, you know that in among all the notes there are these little marks, rests. A quarter rest, a half rest, sometimes a rest that holds for whole measures at a time. And here's the thing about a rest in music, it isn't a gap in the song. It isn't a mistake or dead air or the composer running out of ideas. It's written in on purpose. It's part of the composition. Without it, the notes before it would have nowhere to land, and the notes after it would have no room to arrive. Think of your life, this season of it, as a piece of music. Think of the last months, maybe the last years, as full of notes. Full days, full obligations, full love, full effort. And think of our time together right now as a rest. Written into the composition on purpose. Not a break from the music, part of it. You don't have to fill this measure with anything. That's really the whole instruction. Let it be quiet. Let it hold. Trust that the next note will come when it's ready, and that it will land better for having had this silence before it. Our poem today is a recent discovery for me. It dates back about 50 years. Displaying a wisdom beyond her years, Belgian-born poet May Sarton wrote it while she was still quite young given the topic. It's called Now I Become Myself. Now I become myself. It's taken time, many years and places. I have been dissolved and shaken, worn other people's faces. Run madly as if time were there, terribly old, crying a warning, hurry, you will be dead before what? Before you reach the morning? Or the end of the poem is clear, or safe in the walled city. Now to stand still, to be here, feel my own weight and density. The black shadow on the paper is my hand. The shadow of a word as thought shapes the shaper falls heavy on the page is heard. All fuses now falls into place, from wish to action, word to silence. My work, my love, my time, my face, gathered into one intense gesture of growing like a plant. As slowly as the ripening fruit, fertile, detached, and always spent, falls, but does not exhaust the root. So all the poem is, can give, grows in me to become the song made so and rooted by love. Now there is time, and time is young. Oh, in this single hour I live, all of myself, and do not move. I, the pursued who madly ran, stand still, and stop the sun. May Sarton. Stand still, and stop the sun. That's not resignation. It's not giving up on the running. It's the opposite, really. It's a woman who ran madly for years, finally understanding that stopping is its own kind of arrival. Sarton spent most of her life running, by her own account, chasing time, worried she'd be dead before she'd become anyone worth being. And what she found in the end wasn't at the finish line. It was in standing still, long enough to feel her own weight, her own density, her own realness. That's today's whole practice, really. Not running toward rest, just for 1 hour, stopping. Let's come back from our image now. Bring your awareness back to the room around you, the chair beneath you, your feet still resting on the floor. Notice the breath still moving, still unhurried, still asking nothing of you. Whatever field inside you has been lying fallow this hour, you don't have to plant anything in it right away. It's allowed to stay quiet a little longer, even after you leave the room today. Just a couple affirmations now for this week's theme of rest. Let them resonate in any way that feels right. If it fits, take it away. If not, let it go. We'll do just 2 today. I do not have to earn my stillness. It is mine simply because I am here. I do not have to earn my stillness. It is mine simply because I am here. I stand still, and in standing still, I become a little more myself. I stand still, and in standing still, I become a little more myself. So go ahead and begin to bring a little gentle movement back to your body. Take a moment to feel your hands and feet, maybe wiggling fingers and toes. Take a slightly deeper breath and just let it go slowly. Notice any sounds in the room and beyond, and then, in your own time, just let your eyes open gently and let the light back in. Thanks for being here today. Thank you for resting together without apology. Namaste. I'll be with you next week from somewhere in Europe. The trip we're going on is a curated mystery trip, so we only know it's Europe. We won't know more until we fly out on Wednesday. So I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.